All right, what's up, everybody? I am super pumped. This is not the typical YouTube interview in the Mortgage Coach YouTube channel because one, it's not just for the Mortgage Coach Trust Engine YouTube channel. This is also for First Home IQ community. Uh, we're trying to help, here at Trust Engine, we're trying to help mortgage professionals, loan officers become mortgage coaches that are teaching financial literacy to consumers. And yes, it would actually help people make better decisions for themselves. It would help people achieve financial freedom faster for themselves. But it also happens that these five little lessons we're going to teach you would improve a loan officer's conversion. They would improve a loan officer's profitability, and they would also make that loan officer a hell of a lot more valuable to agents that are going through this NAR settlement changes. And so with that said, I asked Kristen Messerly, the executive director for First Home IQ, to join me so that she's bringing that voice. Like, how do we make it simpler? What's up, Kristen?
Hey, excited to be here. I
Yeah.
am looking at this both from the perspective of like our ambassadors using this content as well as the consumer themselves.
Yeah. And then I asked Sean, and I'm actually going to interview other mortgage coaches because I think the way Sean's going to approach this and teach is going to be best in class, and it's going to be awesome, or he wouldn't have been my first one. But I think there's going to be other voices that we're going to bring in around this topic. So Sean, super pumped to do this, and I might put you on the spot and have you create some new TCAs like live for us.
I'm down. I'm always down. Let's do it.
All right. Okay. So let's start with just the NAR settlement. And that, when you ask most realtors, let's say buyer's agents, hey, what's your value proposition? It's like, I'm a local market expert. I have great negotiation skills. I've got this trusted group of partners, loan officer, realtor, title company, escrow, like go with me because I know the market. But what they don't talk about, and one of the most powerful things that a realtor brings to the market for a family, is building wealth with real estate. And so I think there's a really unique opportunity for loan officers like Sean, who aren't loan officers. They're mortgage advisors, mortgage coaches, to help realtors become something very different, to help that realtor become a real estate advisor. And I think there's five financial concepts that I'm advocating that every loan officer in America knows, and that they are able to teach to every borrower that they know. And then part of why Kristen is here is that not only could we teach these five concepts to every home buyer that is thinking about buying a home, we should be teaching these to kids. And we believe that like these five concepts, every 21-year-old in America should know. If you're old enough to drink, you're old enough to know these five concepts. In fact, I believe that if maybe they're not 15-year-old concepts, maybe they're not 16-year-old concepts, but I think every 18-year-old should know these five concepts as well, because that's when they start getting hit up by credit card vendors to, get a credit card. So the sooner we can teach kids and teach all Americans these five concepts, we win. Anything you want to add to that, Kristen, before we get Sean's take and we start walking through them?
No, let's get going.
Let's get going. All right, guys. So I want to frame it with what the five are at just really high level. One, options. Every time you get into debt, you should look at options, whether it's a credit card, whether it's a car, whether it's buy a car, lease a car, but especially when you get a mortgage, you should compare options. Every time you get into debt, you should look at the cost of those options over different windows of time that matter. Like when Kristen bought her first house, she wasn't looking, or it was her second house actually, she wasn't looking like 30 years from now. She wasn't even looking 10 years from now. She was like, what does this mean to me in like 2 or 3 years? And so, cost over time, appreciation, real estate appreciation, and how when you have a mortgage, there's an amplification takes place. So you must show every consumer the power of real estate appreciation with mortgage leverage. And then these two are kind of tailored. Compound interest is something that, every 16-year-old should know, every 18-year-old should know. But until you really put it into the practical world and you're like making decisions like, hey, should I buy or should I rent? And should I take some of that money and invest it and compound it? It's something that should be looked at. And then number 5 is debt prepayment. I remember when I was a loan officer, I'd been a loan officer for several years before I really learned the power of, hey, what if you prepaid your mortgage by $100 or $200? How much interest would you save? And how many years faster would you pay it off? So these 5 concepts, they're life-changing. And I'm being as bold to say that every loan officer in America should be able to teach these to every buyer in America every time they run a credit report. So Sean, first of all, what are your thoughts on that claim? Like, this should be, table stakes in America, and it should be table stakes for every loan officer that they're expert at these 5 strategies.
I absolutely, you have to. Everybody deserves that experience. I have one of the examples I'll show you is something real from yesterday, and the misconceptions and misunderstandings of what's out there. And the only way to help people truly understand is to remove the sales and gimmicks and show them, don't tell them, don't sell them, but show them how all these things work. And full authenticity, I was scrambling to find TCAs for those 5 points. And I realized I have all 5 points in just 2, because I show these things on everything, just to everybody. So I'm super excited to do this today, because I think it's nothing I haven't shown anyone before, but in different contexts that will be much more relatable and understandable.
Anything you want to say, Kristen, before we dig in with Sean?
Nope, not yet.
Okay, cool. And just one framing statement as Sean shares his screen. This is like, these 5 things top mortgage professionals are doing every day and have done thousands of times. And I've done an informal poll where I've asked branch managers, dozens of people, what percentage of loan officers do you think are capable of teaching all 5 of these strategies with every buyer they run a credit report? And no one has, it's 5%, 10%. So far, one person said, oh, I think 20% of loan officers can do this. I don't know what the percentage is. If you're watching this, let me know what you think it is. I'm confident it's less than 20%. I don't even think every mortgage coach that has our technology knows how to do all 5 of these lessons all the time. So Sean, take it away, bro. What's the story? What's the strategy?
Remind me number 1. Show me point number 1. Let's just roll through the list.
It's comparisons. By the way, I'm going to text it to you.
Oh, loan options. Loan options. I have it.
Yeah, loan options.
Okay, so
I'll text it to you right now so you have it.
Okay, cool. So the one I pulled up, these are all real scenarios. I changed the name to protect the innocent, but these are all like real client things that I've used. I didn't make these just for this call. I will show loan options to answer people's questions, show, not tell. So even if I think I don't have a good ARM program, our 30-year fixed mortgages have lower rates than a 5 or 7-year ARM, I'm going to show them that. And I'm going to show them why these loans don't make sense. Then it gives me the opportunity when I'm showing them what I'm talking about, whether I record a video with a mortgage coach or I do it over Zoom, I can explain the volatility of the market and why an ARM might not be a good loan for anybody right now. Could be, could not be, but I can explain that. The example I'm going to show you today is one of my favorites, because this client was like, Sean, we may want a 30-year, we may want a 15-year, like super low debt to income, really well-qualified buyers, first-time home buyers. And I go, I'm going to show you a better option. Because a 15-year fixed sounds cool, right? You're paying less interest over time because you pay off the loan faster and the rate's lower, but we don't have the delta in the interest rates that we once did. In my experience, it's like 1/4 to 0.5% on any given day. So on this, I showed them that their monthly payment would be $927 less per month if they did a 15-year fixed. But I said, let me show you how you can be in control of your mortgage instead of your mortgage controlling you. Just do a 30-year fixed, make the 15-year payment, and you will pay off your loan in 15.5 years. So you're giving yourself complete flexibility to pay less if you want to, or heaven forbid, something bad happens and you can't make that full 15-year payment. You're not obligated to it. You can, and you're giving yourself an extra 6 months of mortgage payments. Once I show this to people, like, I am Mr. Anti-15-year fix. They just don't make sense anymore when you could do something like this. But if I said that to them, it would be sales. When I showed it to them, it's like the data spoke for itself. So I think I hit a few points on that one. I
Yeah,
hit,
so now let's look at it over time.
yep,
Remember,
so I did,
and
so yeah,
everyone listen to this. It's options, cost over time.
I could change this to real estate appreciation real quick.
Yeah, and then we're going to show the power of leveraged, a mortgage with appreciation. That'll be
Yep.
number 3.
So in
But
this one deck, I've hit 3 of the 5 points. I hit mortgage options, cost over time, debt prepay. I hit
we'll
1,
go down to
2,
the
and 5.
bottom. Go down to the oh, right, interest. Got it. You showed interest over time,
Yep.
and
So I have
and
the
and
reduction.
showing the net worth increase wouldn't make sense on this one, because you're just showing options on the same purchase
But I
price.
did, yeah, but I did the debt prepay. I showed how paying an extra $927 on your 30-year fixed mortgage will pay it off in 15 and a half years. And the
Right.
reason I left this is interest, because I want to show them with full transparency, yes, with the option I'm presenting you, you are paying more in interest because you would have it for 6 extra months, and it does have a higher interest rate. But is that flexibility of $1,000 a month worth it to you? No, Sean, it's not. I want the 15-year fixed. Cool. Then it's the right answer for you. You made an educated, confident decision based on data and analysis, and that's all I care about. You don't have to agree with my opinion.
Hey, Sean, just because I want to make sure we all show tailoring, it's super important that you, as a mortgage professional, are able to change these short-term and long-term dates. So make the go to the analysis screen, and let's do it. Change the 15 years to 10, and change the other one to some other interim period.
I closed it out. Give me 1 sec.
And this is the power of being a mortgage coach. Not only can you show these illustrations, but you can quickly, finesse them. He's clicking on it. He's going to the analysis screen, and boom, let's make it 3 years and 7 years. Let's go 7 years, 36, 7. And then cool. And then it doesn't totally matter where it says interest in 7 years, but I want you to change that to net worth. Just so it's going to be more important than ever that when you're helping realtors, you're helping them make the case that, hey, buying this home based off of whatever appreciation rate is going to help you improve your net worth. Look at the net worth over 7 years. Like, realtors need to go beyond selling homes and doing transactions to look at how you're building wealth with real estate, with every transaction that you do, and look at how we're helping you make better decisions.
And I'll show you. So let's just jump to that one. Because that's the NAR presentation I've been doing. I've done it 25 times now in the last, 6 to 8 weeks. I am the foundation for my real estate partners buyer presentation. Because I know how to do all of this, and it's not their job to do all of this. They chose the job where they get to show pretty things, and I get to nerd out on data. So on this analysis, does net worth in 7 years matter with what their question was? Not really, but it matters over here. And this, you guys have seen this one. I've already shown you this, but commission changes. So what I wanted to show here is, in the new world, if I'm a home buyer, I've signed a buyer broker agreement saying that, real estate agent, in this example, you're worth 2.5% to me. And if that means I have to pay it out of pocket, it's worth it. So that would become a closing cost in our world. Like, part of your job as a loan officer or mortgage advisor now is, I need your W-2s, pay stubs, tax returns, and your buyer broker agreement, because I need to make sure you have reserves covered. We have to build that in. So that is part of my job now. So on $1 million purchase with 20% down, the total cash to close would be $234,000. But now the silver lining of this whole thing is we get to negotiate more. There's going to be far more negotiations. So we're looking at this as a property where there is, there's no seller paid, or what do they call it? Cooperative compensation. So the buyer's on the hook for it, but you don't have to be. If we increase the offer price to $1,027,000, your cash out of pocket goes down by $20,000. You're financing your commission. And since we can now ask for that in a multiple offer situation where we didn't get to in the past, why don't we just ask for all of it? We can get your total cash out of pocket down to $207,000 at a price of $1,038,000. Now it's going to cost you an extra $239 per month, but guess what? You've already been doing this. if you think about, here's the analogy I've been telling real estate agents to use. If you're a realtor and there's a home that's listed for $1 million that has a 2.5% commission, what do? They say, I'll buy the house for $975 and you can keep my commission, because it nets the seller the same either way, right? Well, I don't have the ability to do that. So I would have to pay $1 million. So the price has always been, or I'm sorry, the commission has already been built into the price for all of history, because sellers don't care about price. They care about net proceeds. So if you give me $975 and you let me keep 25, that nets me the same as somebody else offering me $1 million and me paying 25. So either way, I'm good either way. Using that concept, this is the same approach. I've already been paying more. We've just 180'd how we need to look at this as a home buyer or even a home seller. Even if NAR thing went away today and they said, you know what, this is a terrible idea, we're just going to leave it alone. I now understand that a real estate agent was never free to me. It was always included in my price. So I'm going to expect more from you now. So that being said, my goal is to show people what happens with the money that you save. So you had the ability to pay $234 out of pocket, but we decided that maybe that's not the best idea. You could finance it for $170 more per month and keep 20 grand. So what does that do for you? Well, you could just have $20,000 sitting in your checking account and that's fine. Or you could invest it. And I can come in here and show them what real estate looks like over time and what their investment balance would do in short term. This is 7 years. Yeah. So a 7-year analysis at 7%, you turn that money saved into $40,000. You paid your realtor $25,000 to buy this house. I saved you 40. So I made that home buyer more money than they paid for their agent. Just like the CPI I use charges me $2,500 a year. He saves me far more money than he charges me. And these are the kind of things we need to show people. This is why you can't be a realtor anymore. You're not a real estate agent anymore. You are a real estate advisor. And what I've told in every presentation I've done is if you're not calling yourself a real estate advisor, you're not obligating yourself to advice. Just like I am not a loan officer, I'm a mortgage advisor. I've obligated myself to giving good advice. And this is an easy way to show how paying an agent will actually save them more money over time. Rant
So
over.
I want to pause real quick there, because by the way, we need to make some micro content out of that. But the way you showed how advice truly, makes the consumer make a better decision. You're literally showing 4 of the strategies here, because you're showing options, cost over time, the power of real estate appreciation rate with mortgage leverage, and you're showing the power of compound interest. So 4 of the 5 strategies are all in this one simple mortgage coach experience. So Kristen,
No, I got 5. I got real estate appreciation as well.
Yeah, no, but that's that's 4. The 5th would need to be debt reduction.
Yeah.
Debt reduction is number 5. So you got 4 of the 5.
Frick.
You got real estate
fair enough.
appreciation with mortgage leverage. You got compound, but you got 4 out of 5, bro. Now, by the way, I'm going to show you in a minute with this TCA how you could teach all 5 in a minute here. So get ready to have your head on a swivel. Kristen, thoughts, comments?
Yeah. Well, just going back to the first TCA, whenever you're talking about, I just want to remind everybody that consumers are coming into this often feeling super stressed and overwhelmed. And so, for me, seeing a TCA when I was buying a home this last time was like super relieving. But when I first looked at it, I was like, what's going on? I'm just in hyper arousal, stressed out mode. And so seeing the visualized information, and then Sean was speaking to other pieces that are not going to be able to be quantified, like flexibility, and I think just making sure that you're hitting those touch points as you're going through it. And of course, I don't know, just acknowledging where the consumer is, but I loved that, of course, it's all about empowering the consumer. And so that was a big piece. And then I wanted to touch on, just the closing around investing, because consumers, especially next gen consumers, are thinking, do I buy a home or do I invest in the stock market? Okay, I want to buy a home, but what would be, you know, what's the best use of my funds? And so speaking to that kind of investment strategy, I think can be really, really appealing. And then of course the savings and I don't think a lot of consumers are thinking about the NAR settlements per se. I mean, some of them are going to know about it, and Sean, I'd be curious if you have noticed that. But I think being able to explain things as it comes to, here's the amount of money you have, let's maximize that, you know, and in these different strategies would make you so much more valuable than anybody else out there. So just a few thoughts I have.
I'll give you one of my terms. I should copyright all my little Seanisms, because I'd probably just get rich off of those. But I tell everyone, I'm going to show you how to make your money multitask. And that's exactly what we just did, right? To Kristen's point, and thinking of Kristen's audience, I always explain a mortgage like this to people that are like real estate or stocks, as if you can't have both at the same time. The way I explain things to them is, there's not a cooler tool than a mortgage. Show me any other investment that says, hey, I want to invest in something with you, but I'm going to put up 97% of the money. You just put up 3% upfront, I'll put up 97%. Okay, so you're going to take 97% of the proceeds then? No. You can keep all the proceeds. I just want to get paid interest every month. So you're going to partner with me on this asset. Yep. You're going to put up 97% of the cost. Yep. And you're going to let me keep all of the appreciation and equity when I sell. Correct. There's no other asset that does that. Like, you cannot do that with anything other than a mortgage. There's not a way to buy Bitcoin or stock doing that. And so it's like, now that they understand that concept, leave the other money. Don't put 20% down, put that 13% to work somewhere else, assuming the monthly payment's comfortable. Monthly payment has to be comfortable. But when you explain things in those terms, and like, I love story selling or telling, it just makes people go, huh, what a cool way to look at it.
So I also want to call out to all the ambassadors, start writing terms down, you know, the making your money multitask. I can assure you that's going to connect a lot more with Gen Z than the way I'm describing it. You know, mortgage, leverage, appreciation, you know, talking about money multitasking. You know, I can't remember exactly what you said, but something to the effect that the mortgage is the coolest. How did you describe a mortgage? It's the blank.
So I just say it's one of the coolest investment tools ever, because it's like a business partner, right? Like, it's a business partner. Hey, I want to start a business with you. Cool. You want to go 50-50 partners? Yes. Okay. You put up 50% of the upfront costs. I'll put up 50%. And then whatever happens down the road, we'll split 50-50. A mortgage does not do that. They say, we'll put up the majority of the money and you can keep everything when you sell. We don't want a piece of it. We just want to get a little interest every month. That's a really cool business partner to have.
Love all these analogies. So guys,
copyright 2024 Sean Herrero Inc.
Come on. You're first on my team ambassador, you know, give the gift. I know you're joking. So Sean, when we do, like, this is a workshop for Kristen and I to learn to talk, but I'm almost feeling go to the analysis, or go to the analysis on this TCA, uncheck 2 of the 3 columns. Yeah. Go to this one.
Sorry. That's
and go to presentation. Go to presentation, uncheck 2 of them, you know, just so you could show it and start. Like Kristen said, hey, when I first started, it was like, oh my God, like it was so much. So you could start with 1 option. Now go and check 2 and, you know, boom, go back to that. Now it's 2, explain it. Now go back to that. It's 3. This is how you teach these financial concepts. So Kristen, you know, just note to ourselves as we create a real formal training, and Sean, you know, you may be the teacher that we're going to beg to do a, you know, like, we're workshopping and we're prepping to create courseware that really trains us. But I think building it out 1 column at a time is a move that we want to make. And then, by the way, Kristen, I see you nodding your head, but are you aligning?
I just love that, because my money personality is very like avoidant. You know, I see something and I'm overwhelmed, where sometimes if it's not my money, I can dig into all the information. But I think depending on who you're talking to, if they seem overwhelmed by stuff, that strategy is going to be super helpful. You know, I can consume that and then, okay, we can move on. So
So by the way, did you notice that term, money personality? My money personality. So she has been working hard to create content so that everybody can know their money personality, and also to help people understand that. So Sean, let's go back to the analysis screen on this particular TCA. Go back to the analysis screen and click on the reinvestment strategy. Reinvestment, there you go. And now, instead of putting your money to work in compounding, let's change that and make it prepaying the mortgage. So strategy, financial concept number 5 is the power of accelerating the prepayment on your mortgage. So now what Sean's going to do, instead of, hey, let's take whatever money that is and put it somewhere. What if we made an extra, I don't know. Well, and by the way, this may not be the right strategy to do this on, but I do want people to get a feeling for when you prepay your mortgage, you get a mortgage for one amount and you prepay it, what could happen? Although this may not be the right way to do it.
So here, let me back up okay, investment balance. So let's take this one. I know how to do it. So we'll say,
well, and by the way, I have another scenario that might be better. We might be better off doing this with a rep versus own.
Yeah, but so let's just do this one, because that's a good point. Well, I don't want to invest it. Like, okay, great. If you took this over 360 months, which is a little insane, right? That's only $94 a month. But if you paid an extra $94 per month, you would pay off in 28 years, right? So you shaved a year and a half off of your mortgage. But if you wanted to do that in 3 years, 33,898 divided by 36, that's $941 a month. So if you took and just kind of nickeled out every month out of your 33,000 you saved in pocket, you'll pay off your mortgage in under 20 years.
Yeah. And hey, Sean, let me share my screen real quick. And while I'm sharing my screen, I either want you to create a TCA like this, or I want you to think of one that might mimic this. So this is another one that taught 4 of the 5 lessons, and it was a first-time home buyer. And this is perfect for our core audience, which are first-time home buyers and Gen Z, renting versus owning. And column A was like, hey, typical loan officer. Obviously, we would love those rates, so it's a little dated. But typical loan officer, 30-year fixed rate. And then they did a column that was a buy down. And they bought it down, and it was, and they bought it down by raising the price of the home. They got funds to pay down the interest rate and buy it down. And then this happened to be a first-time home buyer that was getting a 3-bedroom home that was planning to rent out 1 or 2 of the bedrooms. So in the home buyer's mind, they were planning to do all this, but they didn't really know what it meant to them. And so they actually told the realtor, hey, I'm freaking out. I'm going to wait till next year. Hey, brand new, young, Gen Z, modern mortgage advisor Ryan Weiss comes up to bat. He puts it all together, says, hey, you could do the buy down and look at your net worth in 5 years. So this right here, guys, this is the power of real estate appreciation. He showed rental increase of 6%, keep renting. He showed property appreciation of 4%, which is incredibly conservative. He was at Denver, Colorado. And right here, guys, this is the power of the coolest financial tool ever. I think you called it, Sean. And this is the power of multitasking with your money. In this particular case, they was going to rent out 2 of the bedrooms, and the realtor said you could rent them out for $600 a room. That would be $1,200 at a compound interest rate at 6%. So he multitasked the money, and look at this. It was like, holy shit, renting and not having a high net worth, owning at a 4% appreciation, at a 6% compound interest, multitasking money. Look what happens. Now he could have, and Sean, this is where I want to throw it to you. What if he, instead of that 1,200, he put it here? What if he put 600 of it in multitasking his money and he put 600 of it in debt reduction, what would the outcome be?
Well, so I want to, that one specifically made me think of something we were talking about. Who gives advice like this? Is it 20% of loan officers across the country? Is it 5? Is it 10? I think it's less than 5. And what you just showed, the amount of thought and care that went into making that presentation to truly listen to what these buyers are saying they want to accomplish, their goals. They said, I can't do it right now. And he could have said, yeah, you're probably right. Move on to the next. Go get more leads. Go get more leads. But he didn't do that. He took a fair amount of time to go, I wonder how I can make this work for them. I heard what they said. Let me see how this works. I promise you, he messed around with it, right? To make all that come together. And he went, this is the plan. This gets them everything they want. That deal got closed. The thing I hear from people at conferences, oh, I don't use Mortgage Coach because it takes too long. That deal will become numerous deals for him. That was like very, very well done. I wouldn't change that, to be honest. I'm not a huge fan of prepaying mortgage because I think most people are going to sell their homes or refinance relatively soon anyway. So I don't know how much of an impact they're getting. I really think that the way he laid that out was the best approach for what those clients voiced their concerns were. Right. But think of the leverage he can get out of that presentation. That realtor will love him forever. That realtor was going to tell other realtors about him forever. And he can now take that content as a story and say, look at what I just helped one of my clients do to other millennials, other Gen Z, and go, if they can do it, so can you. Right. That was very well done.
So I'm going to push you because let's just say that was a buyer whose dad teaches Dave Ramsey's financial piece. And let's just say this person, has been influenced by that. Trust me, bro, they want to know, how can I pay off my mortgage faster? So I get where you're coming from, but there are millions of Americans that are listening to Dave Ramsey. And by the way, his advice to, get your home and pay it off as quick as you can. No one, people don't go broke with that advice,
No, of course not.
Yeah,
but what
so
I'm saying is, I'm not disagreeing with you, but that client didn't voice that opinion. If somebody said,
but I want to show, but remember, we're doing a workshop on
I
teaching
know.
5 lessons here.
So look, but that is very similar to what I did here, right? Like, hey, I want a 15-year fix because I want to get rid of my mortgage as fast as possible. Let me show you how you can have a lower monthly payment, overpay, and still accomplish the same Dave Ramsey goal.
You did, but maybe this would be another way to do it, is instead of making it a 15-year mortgage, make it a 30-year mortgage, and then show how they could prepay their mortgage and make it a 15-year mortgage.
That's what this is. It's a 30-year fix. Yeah.
Oh,
sorry, I'm not sharing.
And maybe I missed it. Maybe I missed that.
Yeah. So sorry, I thought I was sharing. This is fun. Dave and Sean go to battle.
Yeah, no, it's totally fun.
No, check it out. So I did a 30-year fix at 7.
Oh yeah. You did.
So same concept, 6 extra payments but again,
I got it.
Because that is
Dave
Ramsey approach. But if that client said, I forget the loan officer's name or the mortgage advisor's name, but if they said, hey, that's really cool, we showed that to my dad and he thinks we should pay off a mortgage as fast as possible. Boom. That's a 2-minute change there wouldn't be an additional column, but to easily shift that. And you could adjust that on the fly on a Zoom call or on a regular phone call. Because I don't know if you guys know, but when you make a change in Mortgage Coach in here, it populates here automatically. Like if you click, your client is seeing this, whether you're on Zoom or not. So you could do that on the fly. And think of how cool that would be if his dad, who's a big Dave Ramsey fan, was sitting right next to them. Now you're the dad's mortgage advisor, because I promise you, the dad said, you should use my guy. Don't use that new young kid. He's probably new. Wow, your guy's way. I had that actually happen to me with a police officer client and his father. And I'm his dad's favorite person on the planet now. But that's a really good point. But that's where it comes into listening, right? Like what Dave's saying is we have to listen to what people's thoughts and concerns and goals are, and then take the time that they deserve from us to analyze how we can accomplish that for them.
So now, Sean, what I want you to think about, you go ahead and stop sharing your screen, is would you, if you got invited into let's go college level for now. We'll always try to break it down, but you got invited to a college class and they wanted you to teach these 5 lessons to the classroom, and you had a TED talk to do it. You had less than 20 minutes, and you were going to teach these at a high level, and then you were going to teach these to all the students in a way that they could, one, go out and do this for themselves, and they could also go out and teach it to their parents, and they could teach it to their peers. I want you to be thinking about that. Like, if we did another call now, and how could we as crisply and clearly teach this at scale so that this became curriculum in the first home IQ. And I think it'd be great to have it in Mortgage Coach. It would help loan officers. And I also think this same class would be really valuable for realtors. Because if realtors don't know these 5 things, and by the way, that might be the better ask, because right now you're trying to, differentiate yourself in the marketplace versus all the other loan officers with realtors. And I really think these 5, these 5 financial concepts are like essential that realtors work with loan officers who know how to teach these 5 concepts in every app. What are your thoughts?
So I'll go back to the presentation. I would take, Kristen, what'd you call your finance mind?
Money
Personality.
personality.
Your money personality. I would start with Kristen's money personality. You can't get into overpayment and double and move your money over here, and then you get a net worth. Dude, too much. I would start off with how cool I think it is that money can multitask. I would then talk about how real estate is the best business partner of all time. I'm sorry, mortgage is the best business partner of all time. Conceptually, getting a story to help them understand that. I would actually back up and say, as soon as you turn 18, it is every credit cards company and the government's goal to get you in debt as fast as possible. Like, don't use those credit cards that come when you're 18. Rethink your student loan debt. And then let me show you how most people in America become millionaires. Cool, I got their attention. Now I would do those other things. And then I would gradually, going with the money personality approach, build as I storytell and show, here's how you get into a house with little money down because you have the best business partner of all time, your mortgage. Now here's how you can pay less interest over time if that was important to you. Here's how you can make your money multitask by putting less money down and putting more money in the markets, whatever. Like, and I would probably leave it there.
Yeah, and then you'd really what I'm starting with, options, and over time, that would be more like the close. And you notice how to do this, I had options and I had cost over time. So I just learned something that I should really reorganize this, because I'm doing it from like Mr. Mortgage Coach perspective. And you did it, and I love it. Kristen, what are your thoughts on that?
I have so many thoughts, and I have a really great idea. So based on, the storytelling plus the data kind of approach, we could create videos that are telling the story plus a TCA or rent versus own, whatever, be like, here's an example of the story, like you were saying, Sean, and then example of a TCA, and then go back and forth and 4 different scenarios. And then we could train and teach, the community, here's how you storytell with a TCA. And then we can also use that in the classroom and, in our online courses. Isn't that cool?
Beyond cool. But here's what I'm going to do, guys. For the general public that we put this is a workshop. We're going to conclude the workshop. I'm going to stop recording. For anyone that tuned into this, you are a mortgage nerd. We appreciate you. Hopefully you learned something and share it. Sean, any closing thoughts before we stop recording, before anything you want to say to the audience before we just have an off the record conversation?
Yeah, I think, this thing, it goes back to a lot of things I've been thinking about the last couple of weeks. If you say, I don't have time for this, you're doing a disservice to somebody, right? You're saying that this person's wants and concerns or thoughts aren't worth you taking 5 to 20 minutes to play with Mortgage Coach to see how you can solve their problems. I've never watched one Mortgage Coach like how-to video. I figured out how to do all this stuff by listening to a client's wants and needs and seeing if there was a way for me to illustrate it for them. And I think we owe that to more people. So my ask is, when you say you're too busy, is it because you're too busy calling 1,000 leads and closing 50 loans a year? Or is it too busy because you're doing all of this and you need to scale and add someone to help you?
And Sean, just as a reminder for anyone listening to this, what was your production last year?
I think we did 160-ish units for like a little over 100 million.
So he's one of the top, highest volume, most successful loan officers in America, one of the most profitable loan officers in America. You know, with cross country, he was the number 22 loan officer in the country. And in terms of, you know, they have a score based off of how many times it touched an underwriter, price exceptions, you know, just like a fitness score. He was the number 6 loan officer out of over 4,400 loan officers. And so, you know, I love that message. You got to slow down to go fast. And I love what he does with tiny events. By the way, when is the next tiny event going to be?
It'll be in August. We're trying to work through the summer schedules, but probably mid-August.
So guys, go to tinyevents.com, get on the waiting list. I guarantee it'll sell out. It's only 10 seats. Can they get on a waiting list to be part of that at your website?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
absolutely. Yeah, I'll send that information. If anyone's interested, just hit me up and I'll give you the details for it.
Hey, Kristen, any closing thoughts before we stop recording?
No, just that, you know, ultimately you're telling stories with the data, and I loved everything you shared, Sean. So thanks so much for spending the time.
Yeah,
My
make
pleasure.
sure
It's
if
fun.
you're not a mortgage coach, go to our website, trustengine.com, get signed up as an individual LO, tell your executive team to have a partnership with us. If you're a partner, you get signed up. And if you are not a First Home IQ ambassador, go to firsthomiq.com, learn what it means to be an ambassador, and at least, at a minimum, take our free 5-minute First Home IQ quiz. It'll take you about 5 minutes, and share that with others. All right, guys, we are going to wrap this up.